Hi, I'm Kaylee Williams, and today I'm going to be talking to you about students with a 504 plan and how we can provide accommodations and modifications as teachers and as an administration within a school. Accommodations are meant to assist students with special needs or disabilities with anything that they may need during any academic situation or even social situations. These accommodations allow students to move past or overcome difficult situations and or assessments. Whereas modifications are where there are physical or more obvious changes to a student's assignments or environments. Modifications also deal with changing what that specific student may be learning opposed to his or her classmates because at times these students need to be learning something else if they did not understand the lesson at hand or if they're behind or ahead in other cases. Accommodations with a 504 plan. The first example I have is preferential seating. Preferential seating is extremely beneficial for students who have trouble focusing in the classroom or need consistent teacher's assistance. For example, if they need to focus or need teacher's assistance, they could be sitting right next to the teacher's desk, or they can be moved to the front if there's less distractions at the front. They need to be right at the board. This also goes hand in hand with the student who cannot see very well. If they need to be up closer to the board or if they need to be further away from the board, this is considered an accommodation by a 504 plan if their sight is to a greater extent than others, or if it's not a simple fix, if they need a 504 plan for that. Preferential seating will also help those students struggling with anxiety in the classroom and those who have social anxiety as well. Another example of preferential things is assigned partners or preferential partners. Preferential or assigned partners will depend on the student's specific needs. One student may need a certain level of help, whereas another may just need a friend's moral support to complete an assignment. A lot of times, students just need a little bit of encouragement from a student that understands the assignment for them to complete it and actually do it really well. Another example of accommodations with a 504 plan is extended time. Although IEP plans also provide students with this opportunity, 504 plans often assist at this as well. Extended time is necessary for those students who have test anxiety, ADHD, ADD, and other disabilities as well. I had a friend in high school who always needed extended time on her tests because of her social and test anxiety. This helped her because she got more time and she was able to have the exact same opportunities of success as others that did not have test anxiety. This is so beneficial for her because if not, she would not have been able to score as high on her ACT. She would not have been able to get good grades in high school like the other students. But this didn't make her any less smarter than other people. It just meant she needed a little bit of extra time in order to succeed at the same level as other students. An example of modifications with a 504 plan is reduced classwork/homework, sorry. By assigning less homework, students have proven to get more sleep at night, resulting in a better physical or mental health. These students with disabilities do not need a huge load of classwork and homework because they can only focus on one thing at a time usually, and they get overwhelmed much easier than your traditional student. Assigning less homework also improves students' time management skills and they'll get more done, like I just said. With students with disabilities or even traditional students, if they get overwhelmed, they're not going to do any of it. They are going to freak out and feel like it's too much, when if you just do one thing at a time or less work, they will finish these assignments and do much better on them and get better grades. Homework is also proven to have little to no effect on test scores, making it overall unnecessary. Because at the end of the day, these students are going to go home, they're going to look at this and be like, this doesn't matter. And because they're all in the right setting for it. When you're in class, these students know they need to be focusing, they know it's important, but when they're at home, they're like, I'd rather be playing my game, I'd rather be outside with my friend. They are not going to complete it as much as they would classwork. By reducing the homework load, students have been way more encouraged to learn. And I think that is a great modification for students with a 504 plan because when they go home, they're not going to remember it. Like with students with disabilities, it's hard for them to be like, oh, I'm at home, I'm not at school. Or, oh, I need to do school at home. It's hard for them to put those two things together. Another modification with a 504 plan is verbal testing or reading aloud on assignments. Reading aloud can raise anxiety in students, causing them to mispronounce words and read slower. This is something that teachers have steered away from. They do not necessarily want to make students read aloud in front of the classroom in front of the classmates anymore because it does result in anxiety. But another example of reading aloud is some students have trouble reading quickly enough for assignments and understanding and having good comprehension of their questions. So there are online ways for students to have something read to them, and then there are teaching assistants or the teacher themselves can read the assignments to these students with disabilities. Often these students are also pulled out of class so that they can have their um, assessments and tests and assignments read out loud to them so they can understand it better. This is also like verbal testing, where a proctor will read it to you or the computer itself will read it to you. On the negative side of reading aloud in person in class, reading aloud can also make children disengage from what they are reading because they are worried about pronouncing things wrong and are not focused on what which word means. This is why it's helpful for them to have a person who can read these well read it to them so they can understand it. Often partner reading is very beneficial for this exact reason, so that a partner who is more advanced in reading can read it to a lower level reading student, and this will help many students with a 504 plan. On the plus side, it can build confidence by practicing the pronunciation ahead of time, and it can make the child more comfortable at taking risks. Another modification with a 504 plan is encouraging more short-term goals. Students often get overwhelmed with long-term goals and big tests scare them, but if you encourage them to focus on this quiz today or this assignment today, you're going to do so much better. If you can do great on this, you'll do great on your big test later on, but let's focus on this right now. If students can come up with short-term goals, they are more likely to achieve those goals. This will result in more confidence among those students, which in hand will reveal better test results, grades will rise, etc. If students realize that they can achieve their goals, they're going to set more goals and continue doing their assignments because they'll have more confidence in themselves. And here are my references. Thank you.